The Rebbe explains what is the idea of Bayamim in relationship to Avraham Zaken. The Rebbe explains that Bayamim is the shleimus, and there is two levels of shleimus, and there is the shleimus that of a medida v'hagbala measured shleimus. Over there, when the Avram was soras kenim boim bayomim, the shleimus, that you come with all your days, with all the avodah, was the shleimus in the avodah b'medida v'hagbala. And here, when it says v'avram zokim bayomim, we're talking about this new shleimus in higher than medida v'hagbala. After it was Avram Zaken, he got this Cyrus Levanus, which are the Yud Gimel Mitukune Dikna, the level of Keser, which is higher than Ishtal Shulus. And then his Baba Yomim, then he came with a whole new Aveda and Madbidid Akbola, as the Rebbe will explain. For Inyan, who the idea is the Pirush Baba Yomim, who, what is the meaning of Baba Yomim? Who are Bikitzab. As explained briefly in Torah Ubaruch Habeira Torah Parsha Seinu, and at length in Eir HaTorah in our Parsha, Shekol Yom of Hoyu Shleimim, all the days, Bo Bayomim, he came every day was full, Kahol. Yoimin Elohim, and the supreme days, meaning the Sephiros, there wasn't even missing one day, God forbid. He came with the days, all days. As we find in the Zohar. This means Bo Bayom. He came with his days. He came in all days. Every day that he came was because it was a full day. This is the content, the meaning of Baba Yom. The Pasuk Avraham is sort of Goymer Boy Bayamim, and also the Pasuk Avraham Zaken Baba Yom. When we say Baba Yom means coming with all of his days. Shahasach Hakol Shel Yom of Ad Oz, that the total of all the days until the time of the Pasuk were Yomim Shleimim Umleim Bavidas Hashem. They were complete and days that were filled with service of Hashem. So that was Bayamim. Those were the days. But within that, there is also two ways. There is in a way, like we say, that when you give support to somebody who is needy, you can either give them day machsere, enough what they're lacking, or which means they get the minimum, or you can give them in a way of la'ashroi, that give him wealth, not just give him what he needs. So sometimes the level of Baba Yomim until then, Avraham Skenim Baba Yomim was the level of they machsore. Whatever they needed, they came with all the avodah of what they needed. But here they came in a higher level. That when the Baba Yom you're coming is in a way that there is nothing lacking, but still it's measured and limited how much you are able to accomplish. Like it's like sufficient what to give what you're lacking, that he's lacking, so you're not lacking anything. So Baba Yomim, that you're not lacking anything. Obnam Lamailum is but on a higher level than this. Yavoida the Lamailum Medida Vakbola is the service of higher than measure and limitation, which is the Atom Mechuyiv La'ashrei. But there the Lashon is they machsevi Atom Mechuyiv La'ashrei. But here in the Avoida of Avraham, we're saying that you have to make him wealthy, meaning on a whole much higher level. So Achidish the Avraham Zaken Baba Yomim Amasha Kos Avraham Soros Kenim Boim Bayomim. So this is the novelty, what takes place now. Avraham Zok Bayamim, in his avodah over Avraham Zaken Bayamim Dakos Vanal Avraham B'Sora Gomer the Pasuk, which talks about Avraham and Sora who shleimus ha'avodah shebimedida v'agbola. That is the completeness and wholesome of the avodah, which is measure and limit. Kima shekosuv zikenim shom loikoi aleven hasaidus. Over there, when it says zikenim, does not refer to the leaven of white of here. That's not the zikenim over there. That's only in our pasuk. Mashenke na pasuk Veavohom Zaken bo Bayamim, but the pasuk Avraham Zaken bo Bayamim by us. Ushleimus Havodah the Zaken Shalamaylam Medida V'Agbola, which is the complete service of Zaken, which is beyond measure and limitation. It's a much higher level. V'zehu inyan hazikna shehu libun hasaidus. This is the idea that in here Avraham Zaken was the whitening of the hair. The koi al-sidus hazokin. But here it's specifically not just the whitening the hair of the head, but the white of the beard, which represents the beard, the dikna yud kimul tibukune diknas. The koshur in bechinas hazokim, because that's tied with the level of zokin shomaylam above. Bechinas hadikna the atik yomim, the beard of atik yomim. On the level of atik yomin, and then you have the level of dikna, the tukune dikna, sheyesh, as he said before, amar reishik, amar nikei, in the pasuk over there, which talks about all the hair, sheyesh, the level of whitening. Sheyesh was a yud gimel tekune dikna. But there is the 13 strands of the beard. Sheheim, those are the yud gimel midisarachamim. Those are the 13 attributes of compassion. Kinal is mentioned earlier. The inyan midas harachamim. So, what is the measures of compassion? So now we're talking about a level which is higher than measure and limitation, because we're talking about the beard. We're talking about the whitening of the beard. We're talking about the beard as associated with the tikkunei dikna, which is the midas harachamim, the 13 attributes of mercy, which are higher than measure and agbola. And this is because this is not just talking about here. It's talking about white hair and tikkunei dikna, which are higher than limitation, as opposed to normally here represents a level of tzimtzum, of a very contracted and a very limited light. The side is bechlal inyanim hu tzimtzum achais. Generally, we're talking about here, the idea is the vitality being restricted, very restricted. Until the extent that the energy that comes to the hair, through the hair, is like a total interruption from its source. As brought down this drushim. So what is the chiddush over here? Vavraham Zaken Bayamim. It's not just here, because the hair is simsum. This is white hair. When we talk about high white hair, it's associated with the 13 strands of the beard, is Yud Gimel Mitzarachamim, which is which is beyond measure and limitation totally. So not to confuse here with here, the beard, the white hair of the beard is not with the regular hair, which is Tzimtzum. This is Libun. This is the white hair, the Tikkunei Dikna, the Yud Gimel Mitzarachamim. And this is the novelty that it says Avraham Zaken Bayamim over here. She'inyan Bayamim is shleimus hayom. That here is the complete days. So what in this context now that we're talking about, in the context of L'maylam Mevdidiv, so we're saying Shayomim Leim Ushleimim, that the days are full and are complete. Ube'oifen the Zaken. So it's in a way of the Shleim Baba Yomim Zaken, that the Zaken was L'maylam Mevdidiv Legamri, that the shleimus was in a level of the Zaken, which represents higher than measure and limitation, totally higher than that. Ad be'ofen Yud Gimel Tikkun Dikna, to the extent in the 13 strands of the beard, which is the Midas Arachim, which is the Malam Lidin Agbola, that was the Baba Yomim. That was the complete. He came with all of the levels in this highest level. So, what is the lesson for us from Avraham Zaken Baba Yamin, which we all need to learn from Avraham Avinu, because he's all of our fathers, as opposed to the tribes maybe have a special connection to their tribe's conduct. But when we talk about Avraham, and especially the Rebbe bring down Avraham, it's always Mogen Avraham. Avraham is the general and inclusion of all the others. V'hinei, HaTorah Nitzchis. Torah is eternal. Kol Hinyanim Shabo. And all aspects of Torah, they are internal lessons for each and every one of the Jewish people. Move on. So from this understood that this idea Avraham was older, came the Bayamim, the Shleimus, is also a lesson in the service of each and every one of the Jewish people. And this would be a hero, the chlal of Torah, any hero of Torah, but this specifically involves Avraham. This idea of Avraham Zaken Baba Yomim is specifically by Avraham Avinu, with special relationship, the Amr Azal, that we don't refer to Avis, only three. Three meaning that they have a message for each and every one of the Jewish people, as opposed to the tribes. The service of each one of the tribes, that's mainly connected to that tribe. And generally, if you want to divide them up, the two groups is the two lines of the Yisachar v'Zvulun. Those are Yisachar Jews and those that are Zvulun Jews, which will be Morei Torah. Yisachar is the masters of Torah. Morei Uvdin Tovin, those are Zvulun, the masters of good deeds. Mashen Kain, Avodas Ha'Ovis, as opposed to this is the Shvatim, that's Yisachar Zvulun. But when we talk about Avodas Ha'Ovis, it's not divided. Not only Yisachar is Zvulun, Shayachas L'Kol Echad V'Echad V'Yisrael. This has a connection to each and every one of the calls and move on. So since we're saying this shaykhis to everybody, Torah is nitzchis, and this especially with Avraham, it's understood. Sha'avoida anal da Avraham Avinu Zaken Baba Yomim. We talk about Avraham Avinu Zaken Baba Yomim Yeshno Gam B'Kol Echad V'Echad M'Yisrael. This also exists by each and every one of the Yidden as a ben and as somebody who is inheriting from the nitzchis of Torah to learn a lesson. Befrat, and especially amongst the others, we talk about specifically about Avraham. When we serve the Eibishter with our prayer every day, we say Tchilas Amidah, the beginning when we start the Amidah, Bracha Rishayna. The first bracha, Hanikras, we call it Birchas Avis. The blessings that we talk about the father. Ke Avraham, ke Yitzchak, ke Yaakov, talk about all the fathers. But v'chos min habracha Mogen Avraham. But the bracha is sealed, ended with the protector of Avraham. Hainu shezeh ha'chosem ha'ma'amis is kol adam. That is the seal that authenticates the whole matter. That whatever we learned till now about Avraham, about the Avis, Mogen Avraham. This is the seal. So we finish with Avraham. So certainly Avraham is the central figure, and he's the Avraham Zaken Baba Yom. So certainly we need to learn from that. And we have it in our Avodah. Umagam, and also to add to this, we repeat this prayer of Mogen 3 times on every day. That's on a weekday. On Shabbos, B'dal we had Musa, B'Shabbos v'Yom and Shabbos and Yom Tov we have Musa v'chula. Ve'hepam B'Yom Kippurim, when we have 5 prayers with Ne'ilah, on Yom Kippur we also, so we have again Mogen Avram 5 times. V'zeu shechoismim Mogen Avram. So what is the reason why we conclude with Avram? Mishum she'Avram koil ha'koil, because Avram includes everything. So therefore, Avraham has a general, includes all of it. I knew the noise of Lozeh Shegimul Hatfilas Bechlal. In addition, that Bechlal, we have the 3 davenings, him connected Gimul Ha'ovis. V'nisaknu Ayodam. They correspond to the 3 forefathers through Avraham, Yitzchak, Yaakov, and were instituted by them. So that's a specific designation. Who made Shachris, who made Mincha, Avraham made Shachris, Yitzchak Mincha, and Yaakov Mamer. But in addition, that generally in the Protis Yesha Yeshnam Gimul Afone Avodas Shel Gimul Avos. There is the 3 different styles of service of the 3 forefathers. Ava v'Yira v'Rachamim. Level of Ava is Avraham, the level of Yira is Yitzchak, and the level of Rachamim is Yaakov. That's the service of all day, the various different inspiration of the Avos, their particular level of service. And as explained in many places, Shahamidis, the Gedusha, Heim bihis kalalos zomizah. That the trait of Kedusha, since we're saying everybody needs Ava, Yira, and Rachamim, how do you do that? There's different Avos, but the holy midas, the attributes, the emotional standing, when we talk about our emotion in Kedusha, are included one in another. So the Ava with the Yira and Rachamim all inclusive. And also in more detail, based upon what's explained in the Maimorim of Sfiras HaEmer, Shebo his kalulus kol echad ve'echad mizayin hamidas mizayin. In Sfiras HaEmer, we count 49 days. So over there, it's not just his kalulus of Ava Yira Rachel 3, but it's 7 times 7. So you have each one of the 7 midas 7. That's why we say 7 times chesed, 7 times gevura, chesed shebechesed, gevura shebechesed, and so on. Move on. So this is even included 7 of 7. So for sure, legabe gimel hamidus, the Ava Yira v'Rachamim, when we talk about these 3 emotional characteristics and the state of these midos, the Ava Yira v'Rachamim shem klula zemezu, they're included one from the other in a more general way, because there's more specific, 7 times 7, each of the 7. But here, each one is included from the other 2. So what is the idea of Avram Zaken Bayamim Aveda that we're learning? Okay, after this whole introduction, why it belongs to us. So what is the message? What is the lesson? Inyan Baba Yomim Yomim Shleimin, just by Avraham, it was Baba Yomim, it was complete days. Inyan Vavraham Zaken, Zaken Zeshekon Chochma, he was in the level of Ram Zaken, acquired Chochma, and so that's the level of Chochma. But Inyan, you'd gimel to Konedik on top of that, the 13 strands of the beard, which is Keser, which is higher, which is Avodah L'Mailo, which is an avodah which is higher than measure and limitation as above. As explained at length in the Mamer of the Bayamim Ha'aledis, and the Rebbe quoted from the Mamer that he said in Tafrej Nun Daled. Now this Mamer is Tafshin Mem Vov. Tafshin Mem Daled was 90 years. From that. So this was a little more than 90 years, as the Rebbe is going to point that out. So he brings down in that Mamer, in al derech zeh, tzrichim li is kol inyonim elu ba'avodas kol echad v'echad misvah. So this needs to be by the in all aspect areas in the avodas of a Yid, of every Jew, that to serve the Eibishter with Chochmah and Lamailum and Medidav Hagbala. Yes, we can add to it in the Mamer Bal Yom HaYeledes Hanal. The Mamer of the Yom HaYeledes Nemar Lifnei Yoser Mitishim Shona, more than 90 years ago. This was in Tov Reish Nun Dalet, and the Mamer the Rebbe spoke was in Tavshin Mem Vav. So Tavshin Mem Dalet was 90 years, and this was already 92 years. So the Rebbe says, "Hine Omra Zalbe Mishnah Mesechta Ovis." In the Mishnah, Perkei Ovis, it says Ben Tishim Lo Suach, meaning 90 years since the Mamer was said, and by 90 years becomes the level of Lo Suach. What exactly means Lo Suach? So one of the pshatim is that Rebbe brings down means prayer, sicha. Sicha is prayer, like it says, Vayetze Yitzchak Lo Suach Basoda, to speak his heart to Hashem, which is the idea of prayer that he did the mincha there. So the inyan hasicha koyal inyan hatfila. The tishim l'suach goes on the level of davening. Kipirush kama meforshe hamishnah b'ofis sham, as explained in several of the commentators of the Mishnah, that the l'suach means the prayer. This is also written in our parsha. Yitzchak went out to speak in the field. Our sages tell us that discussion, that talk that he went in the field was davening, what to daven. But similar to this, even though this sicha specifically refers to davening, it also you find that sicha refers to learning, to Torah. It also goes on limud Torah. As the Mishnah explained that the lentishim losuach is also Torah included, as we find in the pasuk or Kameshakosov B'Tehillim B'Tamanya Api in Tehillim chapter Mizmer Kuf Yuntes, the 8 faces for each letter. So over there it says Ma'afti Secha, by the letter Mem, it says how your Torah is beloved to me. Kol hayom yisichos. So, what is the meaning when we're saying that 90 years is a level of davening and a new level of learning? So he says the maskil metishim shono, when it starts 90 years, maschila shlemus miyuchedes belibud atoyro b'avodas atfilo. So that starts a special wholesomeness in the study of Torah and the service of davening at the age of 90. Similar to what our sages of blessed memory said, so when it comes to 40 years, up to 40 years, a person could not really completely understand the Rabbi's teaching. And on 40, there's a new level. Same thing is by 90. The Rebbe explains. Hainu shemaschila, when it comes 40, maschila shlemus miyuchedes believe without Torah achre arboim shnin, that you start a new, a special wholesomeness in learning of Torah, which comes after 40 years. Al derech zeh maschila shlemus miyuchedes boifen havonas haTorah. Also, you start a special, complete wholesomeness in the way you understand Torah. Acharei tishim shona, after 90 years. So when it says ben tishim losuach, it means that you start a whole new level. The pshita, it's obvious she'ena kavona bazeh. It doesn't mean she'acharei she'igil l'shnasat tishim, that once he reaches the year of 90, and it can't go up higher and higher. Ela pirushu, but it means she'b'shnasat tishim noisef ilu miyuchad, that there's a additional advantage. So we're not meaning that he's done. L'suach, he's done with his davening, he's done with his learning, but fakert. It means that Ben Shmenim, just like Ben Arboim, Lekonish Inish Adai Derabba, he gets a new level. Nice, they're special now. Zeh gufa tzorich lalas b'kodesh ulafoshelo yoser v'yoser v'lim da. You have to go on a higher level in the kedusha and to increase in Torah, to make no more and more believe that Torah. Al-Beda, Bishnas Arboim, similar to like we say by the 40th year, like Koyim Inish Adaita Drabe, the Masham Razal Adarboim Shtin Chulu, that up till 40 years, Eina Kavona Bazeh, so we don't mean over there Shemagia Shnas Arboim, Eina Yochel Al Yisher. Once it comes the 40th year, he can no longer go higher. Elo, Shaoz Noisef Ilu Miyuchad, but we're talking about then there is a special advantage. Uboy tzorich lalo is b'kodesh, and then you have to go up and hold it to la'afosha chulu, and to increase. So, age of 90, I mean, it's interesting that the Rebbe is discussing this now. The Rebbe at the time was 84, not 90. In the time the Rebbe said the Mamer, it was 90 years since their Rebbe Rashab gave the Mamer, and the Rebbe talks 90 years, something happens, but apparently the Rebbe was also talking about the actual age of 90, and one was moving closer to the age of 90 in any event. So the Rebbe says, and furthermore, Amru Razal Talmidim Kruyim Bonim V'Arav Koryav, that students are called children. Students are children, and the teacher, the Rav, is referred to as the father. V'isa b'Gemara, and we find the Gemara sheyafe koyach haben mikoyach ha'av, that the power of the son is more beautiful than the power of the father. How could it be that the power of the son is more beautiful, is greater than the power of the father? He gets everything from his father. How could he be greater? Pirush. Even though everything the son has is from the father. So how could it be greater? And even the fact that the ben has a better koyach that comes from the Av. So everything that the ben has, even the greater powers, but because there are hidden aspects that are not revealed by the father. They are his, it comes from him, but to the extent in obscurity by the father, there could be even the highest level of obscurity. It's even not existent. It's so obscure that it's called the helam she'enim b'metzias, and yet it's there. It comes from the father. But by the father, you can't tell it. That's why it's Yofa Koyach Haben, because it's revealed only by the son. But this is lahalocha and behalocha. Question exactly how she yesh dvorim halocha shebehem yofe koyach haben mekoyach ha'av, that there is halachas that the son is stronger, which means it's revealed more than by the father. Also by students and the Rav. That there is the strength by the Talmidim to come up with ideas in halacha that the Rav didn't come up with. But what does that mean? That means they were totally hidden by him. Wouldn't even see it, but it was there. This is also the explanation by Mamer Azal. So we're saying The statement says that anything that a studious student will come up, a novel idea, a new idea. So we're calling it a new idea. It's lechadish, but still it was all given to Moshe by Sinai. So then it's not really new. Mamer, Moshe kibel Torah misinai chulu, Hanishim Moshe kibel kol Torah, received all the Torah. So if Moshe Rabbeinu received all the Torah, and therefore it's not something new, so how do we say that the student is machadish, is renewing? He's not revealing, he's renewing it. How could it come up? Because the matters that were passed along through Moshe, yesh mehem betach behelam betachlis. There are some of them that are totally hidden. Talmid vosig mechadsham, and the studious student comes up with them. That's his chiddush. Megal and Yonamel, he reveals these matters. That's called the chiddush, because some these matters could have been obscure totally. So it's his chiddush. The Mekals are moving in ben tishim losuach. So this we understand when we say 90 losuach. Shekashemagias man shel tishim shono. When the time of 90 years arrives, maschila shleimus miyuchedes beifel limud haTorah v'chulu. That starts a special wholesome level in the study of Torah. So so we understand also, as it pertains to the Mamer, which is 90 years old from his birthday. So not from the birthday, from the time that he gave the Mamer. It's 90 years old. So at this point, we should be able to get a newer and a deeper insight on a higher level. The Rotzen, the Rebbe concludes, let it be the will that it will be fulfilled by us amongst all Bnei Yisrael, the Jewish people. The end of the pasuk, Veavohom, Avraham bakoil. That Hashem blesses Avraham with everything. The birchas bakoil, the blessing of bakoil, moire al gilui me'ein olam haba. That points to a revelation that is somewhat of the world to come. It is as the Gemara said, that there are three that Hashem gave them to taste in this world from the world to come. Elohein, Avraham, Tzov, Yaakov. Avraham, what do we see by Avraham that he tasted? Diksiv bei bakoil. And by Yitzchak, diksiv bei mikoil. By Yitzchak, the pasuk of Lemaisa mikoil. And by Yaakov diksiv bei koil. So all these different bakoil, mikoil, koil. And the Gimel brachas elu. The Gimel yonim elu shayochim gamken lekol echad vechad miYisrael. And these three yonim of bakoil, mikoil, koil, this bracha ve'elim haba, it also is connected to every one of the Jewish people. Because we say in the Birchas Hamazon every day, befrat b'yom HaShabbos, especially on Shabbos, she'oz mitzvah lechel suda the Birchas Hamazon chulu, and then is a mitzvah to eat the meal. So we say harachamon. In other words, not just a third meal of Birchas Hamazon, as opposed to every day there's only two Birchas Hamazon. But in any ways, you say harachamon k'moshe Birchas Avosena Avraham Yaakov Bakoil Mikol Koil, which is the bracha of Mein Olam Haba. That in a way that you will be satisfied, and you'll eat and be satisfied, satiated, and you'll bless Hashem Lekecha. Through each one revealing the Avram that's within him. Similar to what it says in the Tanya, that each one has the level of Moshe. So they have Olam Haba, your world you see, your world Olam Haba you see during your lifetime. H't'imo me'ein Olam Haba, He gave us me'ein Olam Haba b'bracha b'pashtus, literally with blessings. Shakadosh Baruch Hu mevarech es kol echad v'echad. The Eibishter blesses each one bakol, everything. Begashmis u'beruchnis, physically, spiritually, beruchnis u'begashmis, spiritually and physically, b'toiv anir v'anigla, and good that is visible and is revealed.